Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Well, I hope. You know what I was in the mood for? Now, listen, before I tell you, I do business and we unpack over here. You know what I'm saying? So, this is trauma based. I did write a description now. If you're not in the mood, if perhaps you have no childhood trauma, which I'm so happy for you, a little envious, but I'm so happy for you. Allow me to let you know. You might want to keep moving. Don't even stop here. We do work over here. We are accountable and we discuss things that may cause discomfort, especially to those that want to still stay safe and live in fear, or they rather control other people so they don't relive their trauma or get triggered, whatever. Over here, I do work. I talk about real life stuff. I raise awareness, and I keep it 100, starting with myself. It's not about shaming people. It's about awareness and freeing yourself from the traps that, I guess you could say, toxic family trees put on us. You must know your role in your family, how you show up. What is your role in the family? I'm the scapegoat. Of course, I was turned into that. I'm the scapegoat. So, and the mascot as well, and the hero child as well. A lot of stuff is really salty, but they're there. Now, as you can see, for those of you that have watched a couple of my lives already, you know I involve the TV. It's like my chalkboard in some ways, So for me, I have to fix that lighting. For me, it's about being honest. First with myself, second with everyone else. Now, I didn't know I was a victim to a certain type of trauma. I didn't know this. And being as though my trauma runs so deep, I couldn't really understand why most people were perceiving me as a joke in my family. Hello, EB. It's nice to see you, brother. Much love, baby. I couldn't have known. I couldn't have known the failure I was set up for. That's what happens when you groom children. You know what I'm saying? When you groom a child and you're their parent or their caregiver. Now listen, you don't have to just be their parent or caregiver to groom. You know what I mean? This can be broader. You know what I'm saying? It could be the neighbor. It could be a teacher at school. Listen, you can groom children. Huh? Keep this honest and straightforward. So with my specific grooming, it was done by my father. When I first started this journey, I kept that anonymous because it was more about me learning who I was and how I show up. I got tired of, I guess you could say, people pleasing, and I was accused of walking on eggshells by one of my siblings, my youngest sibling. Of course, I was offended because I didn't really research anything. Not when it came to mental health and anything that I needed to know about human behavior, mental health, trauma. I was ignorant as they come. You understand? I'm going to keep it honest with you. I was groomed to be controlled by others, preferably family members. Of course, not all the family knew this. They didn't know what my father subjected me to. So for me, how can I heal if I keep his secrets? Number one, me keeping his secrets also keeps my injury intact. And there is no way we're going to keep that going. And then keeping the secret puts me in a light where I'm looking intentional out in these streets on a level that's really, I guess you could say, embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Thank you very much, my man. Yo, when I learned how I'm looking out here, OMG, that's out of pocket. That's on some bye Felicia type level. I am offended. To daytime, real time, I'm offended. How dare you groom me to the point where, number one, I'm hiding your secrets from my mother. She don't even know why I'm on one. She just see I'm on one. Hiding secrets from my mother. My perception is completely screwed up because my father has sociopathic tendencies. I wouldn't deny if he has childhood trauma himself. But see, once you bring children in the world, it's no longer about you. Yeah, I said it. Your time's up. Now it's about the child. So what is your responsibility when it comes to you? My opinion is if your mental health is not popping, you need to go unpack it and figure out what help you need to unpack that so you can be able to show up for your children and not suffer your children to the same abuse you were subjected to. Do you know how many parents is just skating by mental health wise, trying to raise children in ways where they're not even emotionally available, never healed themselves. They just run around doing the best they can. And we got to stop saying that. That's a lie. We can more than likely do better than what we are, starting with ourselves. But for whatever reason, people like to lie to themselves. See, I'm new to all of this type of stuff because I've always went outward. I never really tapped in. I didn't trust my intuition because my abuser taught me not to. By intimidating me, like I said, my type of, discipline. He didn't really use a belt. I can count on one hand how many times I got hit with a belt by him. Everything was fists. Like, I'm used to this. This is how he disciplined me. And I got used to that. And in some ways, it kind of pushed me more towards masculine energy, which, again, I was ignorant about that, too. I didn't know a lot of things that I needed to know. And when you set a child up in that kind of way, but then you expecting miracles for this child to go to school and thrive, for this child to have strong leadership skills, but like, shame on you. How many parents out here is on one in that kind of way and then want to look at your kid when they a mess and you're the teacher? If you don't miss me with that, first of all, how are you going to teach and you're not available? So you want to just dictate policy all day to a child and they're watching you, watching your habits, like, and you're toxic, hella toxic. All kind of nonsense going on in your personal life. Your child is exposed to that. But that don't count. That's different. Act like you don't see that. Do as I say, not as I do. That was my abuser's favorite line. How do you expect the child to do as you say and not as you do? Does that make any sense? Maybe to some. There. Makes no sense to me. So what I did is I said, time to be intentional. Before I even started becoming a content creator, I pushed my head in books, magazines. I've traveled. I've interviewed people. I've watched human behavior. I have combined astrology with mental health. And boy, have I learned some things. Do you realize that people tell on themselves just in your behavior? You don't got to say a word. The more you learn about human behavior and mental health, you don't have to ask too many questions anymore. I've learned how to trust my intuition now. Thank you. What's up, baby? Carswell Street. Respect, baby. Talk about having to trust my intuition. I used to be under so much panic. I cannot make this up. And then I would keep a militant disposition because for whatever reason, when it came to my father, and I'm sure he meant well. I don't think he was like, I'm finna abuse my kid. I don't think it was like that. So, don't get that misconstrued. I think it was more about him surviving whatever his trauma was, And truth be told, he got into drug use very young. Now, he wasn't diagnosed, but I believe he was ADHD young. I really do. And he would experiment with drugs. Do you understand that makes permanent changes on the brain? you can create all kind of disorders within yourself, just exposing yourself as a teenager to substance, let alone alcohol. He was doing both. Doing both. He became a father. I was his first child at 18 years old. And when I tell you he was literally holding it up on some next level toxic masculinity, yeah. But see, the thing about him is he always would, he was like a Care Bear himself. Like, he helped a lot of people that I've seen and, heard of. So he has something good in him. But when it comes to how he treated me, that was foul. And for him to make it seem more like, I guess I'll keep it a bean since I didn't went this far. He told me the barn side of my family, they're, we're less than. So I would grow up thinking only my father's side was smart and my mom's side was stupid. This is the type of toxicity I'm talking about. You cannot raise children and cause a disconnect in the household and then think, I'm doing a great job. Probably not, my man. Absolutely not. So these are the type of injuries that I sustain, including my siblings. Yes, tried to help him get off it. You said tried to help him get off what? Tried to get off? Okay. These comments are going kind of fast. Hold on. I remember me and Stav tried to help him get off it. Oh, off drugs? I believe you. I believe you. I remember one time I was concerned. This is before I kind of rebelled him at 13. I was like, Dad, I'm really worried about you like overdosing and dying. His response was, well, I'm worried about you getting diabetes and dying because you eat a bunch of sugar. Like, when I tell you, this man was like Al Bundy, the black version. No care whatsoever. At least he didn't show me. Now, some of my siblings have experienced him in a more compassionate way. But it's something about me that really twisted his nipples. Like, he really just would treat me like the son he never had. So it was very difficult for me. And then I guess you could say, I misjudged situations that he had me in earlier. I didn't know that he was, having affairs. He was supposed to be with my mom. So I didn't understand when he had me around. And then he kind of trained me alone. He didn't train my other siblings. It was just me. So I'm thinking us when it was just me. So even when I would talk to my siblings, it would be invalidated because they weren't a part of it. How he was setting me up to cover his trails. So he was unfound, So not to go too far from this live, I have a documentary here. It's called The Child of Rage. Now, I don't know if you ever seen the movie back in the 90s. This little girl, Beth, boy, yo, yo. I remember when I first seen this movie, I barely blinked because it was so close to some ways that I felt. So being as though I believe my father's a sociopath, not a psychopath to be mistaken, but a sociopath. And I'm an ADHDer, born that way. Unfortunately for me, it went unknown. So I didn't get help. I didn't have none of that. I had to figure it out. So with this having taken place, my cognitive abilities were not what they could have been. So my judgment was off. As far as I'm concerned, I have a survival mode brain. That's my primary. I do a lot of work to be able to live and maintain because it's innately easier to just survival mode. And I noticed that about other ADHDers too. Now, I took a lot of time and research. Listen, I got my book sitting right here. I got 2 different magazines, available right now on ADHD. I got books on communication skills for healthier boundaries. See, I wasn't necessarily taught this in a way that I could retain and understand. Complete Guide to Self-Care. Listen, I ain't playing on this. I got this book of astrology. Like, I'm breaking down to the last compound until I learn what I need to. That way, I can do better for myself and for my children. Because I can't expect greatness from them and I didn't clean my stuff up so I can perceive healthier. So my perception isn't skewed with trauma lenses. You know what I'm saying? So this documentary is going to basically walk you through a little girl's journey, which is really heartbreaking. So trigger warning. Her father, birth father, abused and molested her. And she took a lot of her pain and anger and sexual inappropriate behavior out on her little brother. And they were both adopted by these two really great people. And they're going to basically share the real life story of her. Because the movie's called Child of Rage. You can look it up. And of course, those are actors acting out her story. But this is the actual little girl that the movie was written about. And she's with a psychosocial worker that is, I guess you could say, trying to walk her down and unpack with her. And she keeping it a bean. You understand me? Here. Oh, having some signal. Give me a second. Try to find a better spot. Let's see if this will work better. Maybe. Come on now. Don't do that. Okay. So I'm going to get ready to play this. Well, I got a signal. And I'm going to unpack as I go. Again, trigger warning. If you have no childhood trauma, especially sexual abuse, if you ain't about that life, you might want to leave. Because I'm not going, I ain't going to lie. I'm going to keep it a buck. Okay? Oh, come on. Here we go. All right, girl. This is a hot mess, y'all. Okay, here we go. You're listening, girl. Are people afraid of you, Beth? Who's afraid of you, Beth? Your brother. And what is your... Now, just to make sure, could you let me know how this audio is coming in for y'all? Is it like, can you understand it clearly? I don't want to be assuming. Her name's Beth, and she's, the worker is asking, who's afraid of her, and she knows that her brother is, and she's going to go into detail about some stuff, and she is very much emotionally unavailable. She's been hurt so much she hasn't been taught empathy. None of that. See, you got to teach kids that unless they're spiritually gifted, and through astrology and some other things, I've learned a lot about children. How birth works, times. It can get real deep, but she's going to go into detail with some stuff. It's pretty disturbing. Brother, why's your brother afraid of you? Because I heard him survive. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what, at nighttime, what do your parents do to your door? Lock it shut. Why do they lock it shut? Because they don't want to be outside. Right. And they're kind of afraid of hurting John. Are you hurting John? Mm-hmm. Okay. Her parents lock her room at bedtime because they're afraid she's going to go and hurt her little brother, which indeed she has. Definitely. Her little brother has been through a lot of trauma. Now, traveling back to my story, when it comes to my trauma, when I was very young, it was certain times that I didn't know, I wasn't really emotionally available. I guess you could say I was like a remote control child. I didn't react unless I was pressed the button to. And that's how he had me. He definitely controlled me with fear and intimidation and shame. So that's a part of my upbringing and created a lot of injuries. So I was really learning from this little girl's disposition alone when it came to my journey and unpacking my trauma.
Are they afraid that you might hurt them? Would you then? Would you do it? Okay. Why would you do nighttime?
Because I don't like them seeing me do it. I'm thinking they'll be bored.
And what would you do to them there?
Okay.
What would you stab them with?
Knife.
I had to pause it. She's talking about her parents, that she would stab them while they're asleep. Now, I don't promote violence on this channel at all. This is unpacking this child abuse documentary about this young lady and me speaking on my own. I had feelings like this when it came to my father. Of course, I didn't know. I didn't understand why I wanted to hurt him. Of course, I didn't necessarily do it, but I guess you could say, I would just sit and think about it and obsessed over different ways that I could hurt him because I was tired of being controlled by him. And then no one really seen it because I did not know to tell on him. His programming happened when I was away from my mother. So I didn't know any better. And no one else knew to come and save me. You know, I felt like when my grandmother passed away, which is my father's mother, she used to talk to me about certain things. She used to teach me certain things. It's almost like she knew. I can't understand. She could have known. And may you rest in peace, Ms. Laura Harris. I thank her for a lot of lessons she gave me earlier on because I needed them. I didn't know I was going to need them against my own father, unfortunately, though. But let's keep it going.
The program you are about to see was compiled from the actual therapy tapes of Dr. Ken McGinn, a clinical psychologist specializing in the treatment of severely abused children. Children so traumatized in the first years of life that they do not bond with other people. They are children who cannot love or accept love. Children without conscience who can hurt or even kill without remorse. This film shows the devastating effects of abuse on a child. It also shows that victims can be helped. It is the story of a 6.5-year-old girl named Beth.
Do you ever stick pins in people? Okay. Do you do it a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
Okay. And what are you trying to do to your brother?
Kill them.
Do you ever stick pins in your brother? She does it a lot and she's trying to kill him. Now, this is disturbing. I've been reading into certain types of relationships and ways that people express themselves during like sexual intercourse. And a lot of sadists, like I don't know if you've seen the Christian Grey movies, but a lot of sadists are born from childhood. Yeah. If you don't have a parent, number one, that's emotionally available, that gives empathy, hugs, reinforces, certain things with the child, lets the child know that there's a safe place. You could come to mom, you could come to dad about anything. You're not scaring the child into submission, yelling at them. If you're not doing that and the child is exposed to sexual inappropriate behavior, unfortunately exposed to child predators, when they get groomed, that's going to shape their mindset on what sex is. And a lot of the times when, like her, she's more severe than I was. I wasn't necessarily harming people, but I had trouble understanding empathy because it wasn't shown to me by my abuser. And because my mother didn't know what was going on, she didn't know to address it. So she's just parented me in a way and not understanding my behavior, and I didn't know to tell her. So it made her raising it made it very difficult for my mom. I feel so bad today time. Of course, I did a lot of therapy and a lot of work to let myself off the hook for feeling bad because I didn't know I was grown, and neither did my mother, despite what other people think. Because one thing about family, they be the first ones ready to come for you. And the whole time, when you need them, they want to do this. Like, what we're not about to do is grind each other up. And when you could have been there, you weren't. And I'm not saying to be codependent, it takes a phone call. It just really takes a phone call. And some people, and especially, in my family, they the first ones to judge. Oh, you gonna call CYS and put the child in the system? Bad things can happen. For real though, bad things happening in a family. And what are you doing about it? Make that make sense and go. Bye, Felicia. Don't come to me unless you're gonna come correct. I'm finna call you out. I ain't gotta disrespect you. Ain't gotta yell at you. Nothing. I'm gonna give you them facts. I'm gonna give you them questions that make your skin peel. So if you don't want to unpack or do real work, don't come over here, because I'm not finna bite my tongue about it. You either part of the solution or you part of the problem. And if y'all see the kids, I ain't the only one. Look at the kids today. And you want to act like y'all don't know where that's coming from? It's time to be accountable. And starting with the parents and matriarchs. Finna call them out respectfully. It's not about being disrespectful. It's just some toxic matriarchs train kids is disrespectful to talk back to your elders because they don't want to be accountable. Because they don't know how to unpack. They just want to run their mouth and control the family tree a certain way so they can still survive whatever they're surviving and get by doing the bare minimum. By Felicia on that. I call BS. We can do better than that. And it starts with acknowledging the facts. You don't like being uncomfortable, do you? Man, you don't like it. I mean, but who really does? But what if I was to tell you the first way to fixing a problem is getting uncomfortable? How are you going to fix anything and your top priority is being comfortable? No, make that make sense. It's all about walking into the unknown. That's where growth lies. If you know it, then you already got it. You can't think growth is going to come with the familiar. That's not how it works. You got to really do some more reading and research and do more than swipe the phone. Let's raise kids with awareness, but we got to be honest with ourselves. A lot of us ain't being honest about our own story, our own neglect, trauma. I was exposed to a lot of, I guess you could say, lesbian behavior when I was younger. You think I knew what that was? Absolutely not. You think I really knew it? I didn't know what that was. I'm just in here trying to people please, and I'm a Leo. Born or definitely Leo, just trying to people please and hype up my family, and a lot of them are sick or traumatized severely or trying to rob Peter or to pay Paul or gossiping about that family member and trying to pull me in the joint. I'm not about to do none of that. I'm not. Sorry, not sorry. It's not about that. The bigger picture is what I'm here for. Don't get lost in those details of people that's trying to hide out. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get back to her because she is talking about really sinister stuff. And she's just completely flat. Like, look at her facial disposition as he asks her questions about, do you want to hurt your brother? Do you want to hurt animals? This is a 6-year-old kid. When my trauma and stuff started, the earliest I can remember, actually, I can remember things at ages that I can't even. It's amazing I can remember when I was 5. But I can remember pretty young. And like I said, Miss Jerry's house, because that was the woman's name, it was hell in that house. I really didn't like that my father took me there at all. And a lot of times I would be militant to survive it. I had to act like I was okay. And it was easy for me to do that as someone that is high energy, usually happy. I'll act like I'm not seeing what I'm seeing, but it's affecting me, and I didn't know any better. So this is me creating videos so I can raise awareness on that fact. Stop acting like you don't know. Say something. Even if you feel like you're going to get hit, say something. You know how many jaw hits I took? Yeah. That's how my father disciplined me. I got jaw hits, headbutts, choked. If I would have known, and I still would rat him out. Eventually, once I got older and the rebel kicked in, because I couldn't respect him. And I feared for like my mom and siblings sometimes, because he was seriously on one. and nobody knew and nobody seemed to be helping. So let's get back to it so I can unpack some of my stuff so I can peep y'all the game.
Why do you want your brother to die?
Because I was so sad, and I don't want to be around people.
Okay. Who else would you like to stick things into?
Mommy and Daddy.
Would you like to have that in dinner?
Yeah.
So sad.
Kim is the minister of a small Methodist church in the South. He and his wife Julie have been married for 12 years. Unable to have children of their own, they decided to adopt. In February of 1984, they received a call from the Department of Social Services telling them they had 2 children available for adoption. They were told that Beth, 19 months old, and her brother Jonathan, 7 months old, were normal and healthy.
We did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in a relationship. But we wanted to share that with somebody else. And we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child. And that was what we really wanted to do. And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
It seems like a miracle. It happened so quick. We've heard of couples having to wait 10 years on a child, and here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dreams.
This is so sad. Of course, these are the adoptive parents of Beth and her little brother. This is how young they were. And she was doing some crazy stuff, y'all, I'm trying to tell you. And I can relate. Like, I wind up acting out certain sexually inappropriate behavior. Because one thing about children don't necessarily know to hide. They're very intuitive, and a lot of the time they will adapt. You know what I mean? It's about survival. It just is. Children are not logical. They're emotional. So they do what they feel like should be done. And that's what I did. I would try to fulfill certain intimacy needs by entertaining people or kids that would come up with inappropriate touch. And a lot of times I was so immature physically, things would tickle. So it was a lot of times it wasn't even like, oh, I'm going out in these streets at 8 and I'm finna be doing this with this boy. Nope. A lot of times it had a lot to do with like acceptance, love, wanting to feel a part of something, wanting to belong, because I was constantly feeling like I couldn't do nothing right as a child. And I didn't know what to do with what was going on at Miss Jerry's house when I was really young. So I guess you could say I started, in school, I used to write in my journal I wanted to die by 4th grade. It then took its toll on me, and I didn't want to be around no more. I didn't understand why I started being afraid of my father, because I idolized him. Outside of this, he's very talented. He's athletic. He's very popular. He was, like, I thought my pop was it. Like, he was that bull, but little did I know what he was struggling with. So for me, he would come for me a lot, and he gave me a lot of shame. So just trying to feel the opposite of those feelings, just to give myself a chance to feel like less of a piece of crap. Because, by middle school, my grades started to be affected. And I was already having trouble in school because I couldn't stay in my seat. That's the prime ADHD student right there. Couldn't stay in my seat. I'm trying to pay attention to the teacher, but somebody walked past in the hallway. What was that? Who's that? Like, mind your business. Like, it was very difficult to stay focused. And so I'm learning on the flip side, when you got ADHD, the external stimulus controls you, man. Don't you understand that? It just is what it is. We have heightened sensory. All of the senses are heightened way past what they need to be when you're sitting in a classroom. And unless you have ADHD or any other mental illnesses that heighten your sensory, you won't understand what I'm talking about. Or if you're attention deficitors, like if you have ADD, it's still a form of ADHD. You're just the daydreamers in the spectrum. So those kids just kind of stare off. They're in their thoughts a lot. And it's hard to leave that and focus because they're easily distracted as well. See, I have the hyperactivity part, so it's just very difficult because I'm overstimulated so easy. And I was definitely in school. Are you kidding me? So you add ADHD to the pot, stir that up. Add being groomed by my father behind my mom's back in the pot, stir that up. Add inappropriate family members exposing me to stuff, stir that up. Add that I'm a Leo astrologically, stir that up. Like, do you see what I'm saying? And what, I'm super niche? Like, I'm going to be able to fight all that and just come out unscathed, be making straight A's in school, the model student, the model kid at home. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I'm a smack you. Come on now. How much pressure are we putting on our kids to be perfect in ways that we aren't even perfect? In ways that we ain't even touching it. You know how many people I know do not unpack their trauma? They just pack more on top of it. And those people are literally expecting to live a happy, healthy lives. I swear. I can't make this up. They legitimately think that they're going to thrive with that problem. Boy, my heart goes out to them. It really does. But I got to move accordingly. I'm trying to be intentional in these streets. I'm trying to do something like learn from lessons, not repeat them, Jones, and definitely not coddle you and people please you and codependent you to stay stuck where you're at because it's unhealthy. I don't know why you can't see it, but I can see it very clearly. And no, I'm not going to tell you about yourself because number one, you didn't ask. It's not my place. All of us are to be awakened when it's our time. You go trying to wake somebody up before it's their time, you're going to get resistance. You could get all kind of things that could go wrong. They can become violent with you, smear campaigns about you. Like, leave that alone. Your responsibility is you, period. That's it. Now, what you want to do, use me as an example. You can use your story to raise awareness, not smear other people in it. Raise awareness. Like for me, I'm raising awareness about childhood trauma when it comes to when you have a very disturbed parent that has bullied you into keeping certain secrets. That way they can be unscathed and you take all the heat for them. Man, if I'd have known that's what I was doing, I'm like, oh, no, sure won't. Sure won't have me out in these streets looking like I'm just all on one and you the greatest father ever. Yeah, I feel a way that you was able to get away with it this long. And look at you up in age now and you probably need all kind of help. Probably withering away all alone. It ain't worth it. But boy, these people, these parents of Beth, they about to get into some details about the type of stuff she does at home and why they wind up seeking out help when they adopted her and her brother, just to share more love. They felt complete as a family already. They just welcomed 2 children that they wanted to give love to. She turned that household upside down. OMG, listen.
Their grief became a nightmare when they realized that Beth and Jonathan had severe emotional problems.
We had the kids with us, Beth and her younger brother John, for probably a couple of months until we began to learn something about their background and their past. And when we learned it, some things seemed to fall in place about her behavior and John's behavior. From several sources, we discovered that they didn't have enough food to eat. But perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll over. He was just had no stimulation. And we think perhaps that didn't happen to Beth, and it wasn't very long until she began showing some signs of perhaps even some abuse. There was a nightmare that she had, and the nightmare was about a man who was falling on her and hurting her with a part of himself.
Tell me about your birth father. What was that nightmare like?
When she touched my vagina,
Okay.
until it bled, hurted a lot until it bled, and wouldn't feed me a lot. He hit on me, wouldn't be very nice to me.
How old were you?
One,
And in your nightmare, what happens?
I get real scared.
Where are you in the nightmare? What happens in the dream?
I'm in the house, upstairs.
And then what happens there?
And then he comes upstairs and,
How do you feel when you talk about this?
scared.
That is so sad. I don't know. I hope y'all can hear this. How are you, sweet? Oh, I'm doing well. Welcome, Laverne Dixon. I'm doing well. I'm just unpacking some well-needed trauma. And I'm doing it publicly in hopes that I reach others that probably need to unpack as well. Just so you know you're not alone. And a lot of us are traumatized as children and don't really have an outlet. So I wanted to provide that platform. That was one of the biggest reasons I became a content creator, outside of self-expression and many other areas that I cover. But yeah, her fear of her dad reminds me of myself. It's like I had a love-hate relationship with this man. I admire him so much because he's so talented. But when I tell you I'm scared to death of my father, even now I still have that same emotional response. Well, more like emotional reaction. It's just now I know how to soothe myself, which is one of the reasons I had to terminate our relationship. In my psychosocial therapy session, as it took over a year for the therapist to unpack with me, because I was saying the stories in a way that I wasn't a victim. So at first he didn't catch it. And I was told this. I was told, oh, you a hoe, you this, you in boys' faces all the time. Your dad got every reason to be doing this. I was told certain things in childhood. So a lot of the time I would just believe it because I learned younger when I was grown that, what I say doesn't matter. And children are be talked at, not talked to, like a bunch of toxic stuff. So I was regurgitating that in therapy the wrong way. So I forget what it was that I had said where the therapist caught on to it. And then he actually literally was sitting here walking me through what I now know is being groomed. It took 3 extra sessions because I was in denial. I was like, no, I wasn't groomed. It was this, and that, and this, and that. No, you were groomed. No, that's not. No, because I'm defending my father. Because I didn't know. I really didn't know. And I guess you could say by that 3rd session, I cried like a baby. I had a full-fledged panic attack right in my seat. Yeah, that's how real this can get. See, when you make a parent that's a predator your hero and the villain, boy, yo, yo, talk about issues. If I would have known better, I swear I would have did better. I sat there and I guess you could say I made myself the villain. I was the problem child and my dad was tired of my stuff. And I had that injury. So any other person with certain behavior like my father, I gave them a pass. That's how it works, y'all. Did you know that? Any behavior you excuse your outlook, period. I'm looking for a good woman. They are very hard to find. Listen, I believe you, brother. At the end of the day, a good woman is going to find you. I really strongly believe this. When you're living your best life, living honestly, when you're treating people the way you want to be treated, when you're actually putting and pouring into yourself, you move in a certain way. You have a certain glow, a certain aura about yourself that attracts what you probably want. So for me, I don't go looking. It usually finds me. It's about how you move. So a lot of the times it is really good for human beings to get good with being alone. It's too many people that are not good with being by themselves. And I'm not talking about isolation. I'm talking about solitude, the healthy version. When you can get good with being by yourself, you can't believe how many doors that opens up for you. Like, learn everything there is to learn about you. Everything you want that woman to be and take serious and see in you, you got to see it in yourself first. You have to live, breathe it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about whether she come or not. If you make it about her coming, then it's short-lived. It's not legitimate. It won't last. You know what I mean? And even if you're an older man, listen, at the end of the day, I believe we all have a divine purpose. And I believe we all have a divine purpose. And it's someone for everyone. Sometimes love is not what we think it looks like. We put a lot of conditions on what love is. And a lot of times we're speaking from a broken place. You got to understand that part and give yourself a little grace and be patient with yourself, no matter if you're older or not. Because I know one thing about me. Yes, I'm a married woman. And if it was different, I've never had trouble cutting ties if I needed to. Because I put me first. If I need to cut ties, I'll do it. And it's not about drama. It's not about belittling. You know, I give people their wings so they can fly right out my life. You know, if it's for me, it will be. And if it's not, it won't. And I made peace with that fact, period. And I don't question it because I trust the process. Now that I know the process, I had to heal my mindset. It's so much to go in, but that's another live. So stick with me. But this little girl, when it comes to like her fear of her father, I share that. So I would lead with that fear and a lot of things that I did, all the way until I rebelled the man. And I did it in the worst way. I did it in the worst way. Like, I feel so bad for my mom now. Thinking back, she really tried to get grips in their household. But when I tell you my father would lower himself to my level and go back and forth with me, he's talking about young, dumb Chrissy chicks. You know, Chrissy on, is it Three's Company? The blonde hair lady, I think. However you perceive her, yeah, that's what he would call me. And then I'd be like, crackhead, you know, and then ducking hits. Like, that was the household. Not every single day, but yeah. And a lot of my siblings can attest to that. But they were victims in their own ways too, because that's toxic. You can't raise no child in that, no matter how much my mom was trying. And y'all, she was trying. But it was very difficult to be in that circumstance. She's only a woman. It ain't like she Wonder Woman. So it's like, yeah, you got to really pay attention to the dynamics you're raising your child in, you know? So let's get back to Beth, because it's about to get worse.
Where's your birth father? What's he doing?
He tries to embarrass his hand and left there.
Where?
She drew a picture of her birthday.
I can't see it because it's green.
Was it touching?
Not the channel.
And what is your birth father doing?
Yes.
Your face looks sad. Can you tell me about that?
It's crying. There's lots of tears.
Beth had endured severe neglect and abuse as a child. Her birth mother died when she was 1. Because of these early childhood experiences, Beth never developed a sense of conscience, love, or trust for anyone.
Right.
The early sexual abuse by her birth father would cause her to exhibit inappropriate sexual behavior, especially toward her brother.
Does your brother have private parts? Yeah. What is his private parts?
penis, and bust.
And what do you do with your brother with his private parts, right?
I heard it.
Tell me about it. What do you do?
Now, I can squeeze, squeeze it, mm, kick it.
When you do things to your brother's private parts, what does he say?
Stop.
Can you tell me that?
Well, he says stop, but I don't stop.
Do you hurt him?
A lot.
This I had to pause it. She just getting to me. Now, see, I wasn't doing that. What I was doing is I would victimize myself to spare a sibling. So in Miss Jerry's house, when I was about 7, 8, she had an 11-year-old son. His name is James, I believe, of all names, since that's my father's name. This boy was off the hook. And I, as a woman that has had children and stuff, it is hard to believe an 11-year-old could be what he was. OMG. It was one time we spent the night over there because my father told my mom Miss Jerry was his friend, a guy, because her name is Jerry. So he spun it to make her think it was a guy. So of course she didn't say nothing. When he would take us with him, while he hanging with Jerry, he say, maybe taking us to the park or whatever he told her. So while I'm at Miss Jerry's and it's nighttime, I did tell this story in a lie before. I'm just going to add to it. The very first time I left the room, and I guess, all right, well, I went downstairs to get some snacks. Yeah, it was bedtime. I wasn't supposed to, but they're there. A lot of times when it comes to ADHDers, we have trouble going to sleep. We usually fall asleep, my opinion, because our brain don't want to shut off. So it's hard to lay down and intentionally just get your snore on when your body like, come on, let's go to the club. Like, it's just what it is for us. So I do a lot. So as a kid, I would get up, wander around, and this is when I wind up seeing things I ain't supposed to. And so I would go down for snacks. I came back upstairs, and this little boy James was on the bed digging out my sister, and she was younger than me. When I tell you, I didn't know how to feel, but rage came up. I ran on the bunk bed, said, "What you doing to my sister?" Pushed him on the floor, and like I said, I was 7, 8. This boy was 11. I was probably his size because I've always been big for my age. Like I'm 6'1.5" barefoot, and I wear heels. So when I was younger, I definitely was bigger than what people perceive my age to be. And my sister, my youngest sister, she disassociated. See, I know that that's what it is to daytime. Yeah, this story is one. It affects me, and yeah, it's her story partly. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm about awareness and raising it. This is not to gossip. This is not to smear. This is not none of that. This is for awareness, especially in the family, because there's certain ways that people show up after these type of traumas, and it changes them forever. And in my opinion, it changed her. So every night moving forward, I was the bodyguard. What type of job is that for a 7, 8-year-old to have to sit and protect their sister that turned her head, tears flowing, face flat, finger in the mouth, and trembling? And then I go try to go tell, and the bedroom my father is in, where Miss Jerry sleep, doors wide open. He getting cheeks, like with the door open. I'm standing in the doorway, never missed a stroke, and I'm just in shock, like, what's happening? Because I didn't know about sex or nothing like that. So I'm just, intuition wise, it felt like I wasn't supposed to see that. But he never stopped and said, show shame, so I can be like startled, like, oh no, I'm right. I wasn't supposed to. None of that happened. The bed wasn't made up. I still remember he was, extra light skin, freckles, overweight, no clothes. It smelled like boiled buttholes in there, which I learned later was crack. They were doing crack together. That's that smell that drove me nuts every time. And I couldn't stand it, but I didn't know that it was drug related. I just thought she stunk. It was this. So obviously I left the doorway so he could finish. And I just went back in there. And then as I'm going back, he back trying to climb up near my sister. So I pushed him again. And I basically damn near laid on top of her. So, and I've made that my habit every night. So every night he never stopped. Whenever we went to that house and it was bedtime, oh, here comes James with his 11-year-old inappropriate self trying to see who he could dig out next. So all night I'm sitting here playing security chick. My aunts didn't know this. My mom didn't know this. And I know if my mom knew this, oh, she'd move heaven and hell to fix that problem. But she ain't know. And I didn't know to tell. So all this damage is happening. And then after a while, I got tired of fighting him off. So eventually I just let him do whatever he was trying to do to hurt me. So I took on a lot of that abuse. And guess what, y'all? It changed me. I became, I guess you could say, like, I would be a victim to that type of behavior. There was no penetration, even though he tried with certain situations. But it didn't, that never went down. It was a lot of touching on his part and, you know, stuff like that. But it just was cringe. It was cringe, and I wouldn't wish it on my enemy. It's terrible to go through that. So I had those challenges, and it seemed like because I had that injury, I kept attracting narcissistic kids. And I didn't know how to defend myself with it because earlier on I learned to live with it because Dad didn't do nothing about it. And I didn't know any better, unfortunately. So this is what I'm saying when you raising children. And then it was certain things like with girls that I would be victim to. And this is where the lesbian behavior came in. So when I tell you, when you have a girl or a same-sex incident when you're very young, before you know about gay, lesbian, any of that, a kid is not going to understand that. All a kid understands is I feel shy and embarrassed, but something feels ticklish or something feels good. And if you get the kid to respond physically, or let's say it's a little boy, if another little boy touches him and then gets his thing to get hard, this little boy is like, I must like it if, and now he thinks he's gay. See, you got to understand, with some people, it's not a lifestyle or a choice. It was a trauma. And for whatever reason, it went unfounded, and they had to create a way to live with it. A lot of times, once a boy is touched in the communities that I'm from, oh, you gay. No tasties, backsies, my man. Nope. There's a wrap on that. No one can redeem themselves. So then all that shame bottles up. You got people that suicide. Just say, well, I guess I'm gay. Having someone else dictate how you show up and how much of this goes uncorrected. You see the problem? That's out of pocket. And I was a victim of it. So yeah, I'm going to speak on it. I have every right to. And if I make anybody in the gay community uncomfortable, that's not what this is about. It's about awareness. So know your story. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, it was a lot of stuff forced on me, and I didn't pick to be a lesbian. I didn't. You know, I just kept being exposed, and it caused me to be confused about my sexuality. And then when ADHDers, we already have trouble with that type of stuff when it comes to identifying through our emotions, because we're so highly sensitive, and people usually don't get us. A lot of times we are the heroes or the villains. So far in my research, that's what it is. We are. We're very heroic, but we could be really thriving villains. You know, so it's really messed up. So I really hope that this is helping somebody out there. I really do. But this little girl, you know, she took her frustrations out on her little brother. A lot of times when I was younger, I took my frustrations out. I would self-sabotage. So I would stick safety pins in the bottom of my feet. I would yank my pubic hair out one by one. Like I would harm myself. And then I have a high pain tolerance, which I learned, I researched some of that could be associated with ADHD. This is my opinion now, okay? So because it hurt, but not, this is a lot. This is where sadistic behavior can be born too, where you like to receive pain to get off. Or if you grew up in a house where there was loveless, no available emotional healthy parent, and depending on the zodiac, like whatever that zodiac sign is, which listen, I got books for you, you understand? I got books on zodiac signs. I got books on it. Listen, it's truth in it. And then I can judge it based on my own experience. I'm a Leo. So what I do, I'll read and then I'll say, oh, that's true or it's not, because it's me. I know based on that. And then I'll question other people, also in the tarot as well. So yeah, I'm very spiritual, not necessarily religious. Not coming from no one's religion or faith. That's not what I'm about either. But I got a lot of them people in my family where they think you should practice what they're practicing, and then they look down on others that don't. Stop that. Who died and made you Jehovah himself, Jesus himself? Like, I'm gonna need you to chill. If your faith saved you, let it keep saving you. If you could do good by extending that and someone reaches out for you, or if you're in the right place at the right time, cool. Quit forcing your religion on other people. It's disrespectful. It is. It's so many religions out here. Allow people to research that and learn what's for them versus you force feeding what faith should look like for everybody. There. Let's get back to this.
Okay. And would you like to do that to other boys?
When I called her with Jonathan, and one morning she was molesting him. He was crying and his pants were down, and I said, "Beth, what's happening?" And she said, "I pulled his penis and put my finger up his anus." And I said, "Didn't he say to stop?" And she said, "Yeah, he did." And I said, "Did you?" And she said, "No."
Have you ever rubbed your private parts?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do it a lot?
Or
How much do you do that?
every single day, and that's good. I did it every single day until it got was bad, and I stopped and I had to get to the doctor, and I did not like it.
Did y'all hear that? He's asking her about masturbation and does she touch herself? And she said every day. She does it until she's raw and there's boo-boos on it. Listen, I've seen these things unfold. I didn't understand like masturbation and things like that. It was not necessarily talked about, especially when I was really young. But you know, because my exposure was really young, I had to guess what a lot of stuff meant. And as you can imagine, now, of course, my guesses were wrong. You know, what does a kid know? But when you got a little girl that was vaginally activated by her birth father, because he was an alcoholic, molesting piece of bleep, she did this stuff behind closed doors. She was understimulated. This is what I'm talking about. I was understimulated emotionally by my father. And then I was overstimulated through physical aggression. And a lot of the times, it started to shape me into a sociopath myself, where I didn't really understand empathy. My mom used to grab me up all the time and teach me, you hit her. That wasn't nice. So she hit me on my hand and said, do you like that? Of course, I'd be like, no, you don't hit people. That's not nice. This is why. My mom was the queen empath. My father, not so much. He unfortunately, he was a bit of a bully. He finds it funny to harm other people or like trip you. You about to eat a sandwich, slap it on the ground, like those type of something. You know, that's rude. That's rude. But it's a lot of people out there like that find that funny. I know the type. It's in me. I just control it because, you know, he gifted that to me. I mean, I don't want it, but it's a part of me. Life's all about balance. So as long as I know that is in me, I control it because I don't want that to be dominant. Who wants to be a thriving sociopath that gets off hurting people? Like, no. I learned better thanks to my mother. Because if I was just out in these streets with my pop, I'm gonna keep it a bean with y'all. I'd probably be a hoe, like my family already was calling me. I'd actually be a hoe, probably be permanently burning, off the hook with oral sex. Like it had been popping. I definitely was not into that as a kid. When I started learning about it, seeing things again that I shouldn't have, I was kind of grossed out because I was like, "Don't boys pee out of there?" Like the idea of it was like, yeah, nope. Now, despite the fact it was certain girls that was doing that in my family, um, yeah, so no. Yeah, I ain't finna copy that one. Yeah, I was really immature. So you can only imagine this how this like looked when I was in my group of relatives that were my age, and they would tell me their stories. And the best story I could pick up, which was really a worse story, would be Miss Jerry's house. Um, but it was a lot of other cousins of mine that were teabagged into water drama themselves, molestation, like stripping was in the family. Like it was a lot of stuff that I did not understand, and people would perceive that I did, because they're sitting there putting their stuff on me. You got people with injured perceptions. They take how they feel and think and assume that's what you feel and think. They're there. I'm gonna need you to upgrade your knowledge. Stop doing that. You're projecting onto me. I'm not you. And because it's limited intelligence, when you go into certain neighborhoods and certain types of people, mindsets, it's really a problem. Like, it's really a problem. And we need more people to speak up for it in a way that's uplifting, not to shame people, because that's another problem as well. If you don't have nothing good to say, you might want to be quiet. You don't do no good creating problems. You know what I'm saying? We need solutions out here. But this little girl, I didn't learn about masturbation. Now y'all might say you might think I'm bluffing. Not bluffing, lying. Until I was 18. I'm, I'm dead serious. I'm sorry. This is humor and like laughter is how I cope with discomfort, and I'm very uncomfortable. So even though I'm talking, I'm doing this, this is hella cringe. Trust me, hella cringe. I'm just doing it anyway because I'm uncomfortable. So I know I'm doing the right thing. Change equates to discomfort. If I'm comfortable, I'm not doing what I need to be doing. So for me, maybe if I would have known about healthy self-touch, that could have helped, or maybe not, now that I think about it, because my mom didn't know my exposure. So I would have just been great at being secretive and going and doing things secretly. Yeah. So no. If anything, I needed that to be found out. So CYS could get involved, and that would have got my father out of our household, especially once he was put on the lease in PHA housing. If you live in Philadelphia Public Housing Authority, if you live in any of that, let me tell you now, I don't think the law changed with that. If you are the head of the household and you put someone on your lease, the only way they can leave is if they write a letter to management saying they're going to move out. And do you think my addict father that didn't know how to live, he just knew how to survive, was going to leave the stability that my mom provided? No. He stayed in there and dragged us to the pits of hell with him. And I so thank God for my mom, because a lot of people got everything to say about her, but yet have yet to fill the shoes she filled. Some people had better chances at success. Some people had like my mom's. She's a beautiful soul that was severely mishandled, but then she was given so many different children. But yeah, she's on. She's this. She's that. Yeah, how many kids was put in her custody? Which she made all the difference in their life. You think somebody would say thank you or anything like that? No, just talking trash because she wasn't perfect. Oh, well, she did this. Oh, well, she did that. It's easy to go that route. See how some people just could be so ungrateful? It's not about perfection, but she gave a damn. And that's what matters at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And she actively helped these kids, different ones, kids in the community, kids in my family on my father's side. That's not even her responsibility. Yeah. She's always been a platform for kids to vent to, code to, because their parents are either absent or they're present, but emotionally absent. And my mom's queen empath, taking on everything and everybody, but everybody got everything to say about her. But did you ask her her story? Anybody gave a damn? Probably not. Who want to do that? I'd rather gossip. Yeah, I believe you. Ooh, I believe you. Ooh, I believe you. I'd rather do smear campaigns. Let's see, what's the worst thing I can remember or that I found out about her? And let's just talk about it and hang it through all the family trees on each branch. To serve what purpose now? What good is that doing? Like, you see where it just pulls the family apart. You do all this, and then you expect someone to show up at family barbecues. You expect people to be, listen, she moves in Capricorn energy. Now, I don't know if you ain't in the zodiac signs. I don't want, I'm trying to disrespect. But listen, one thing about Capricorns, they are the CEOs of the zodiac. They're not the type of people to just keep walking into a punch. No, they're going to get punched that one time, and then they're going to learn and set a boundary, and you ain't stepping back past it. And that's how she moved. Oh, the family was living with that, because we got sociopaths, we got codependent people, we got narcissists in the family, we got dark empaths that want what she got. My mom is very validating, very validating. And people found a way to weaponize that. That way they don't have to grow. That you don't have to grow. You just have someone that's so validating and emotionally present by your side. So when you go out with your toxic lifestyle, it chew you up and spit you out, make you feel worthless. What do? Come to my mom. She pat you on the back, tell you some words of wisdom, make you feel relevant again, just to go out and do the same stupidness again. Bye, Felicia. Like, bye. No, stop coming for her. Stop coming for her when you know damn well you the problem and your mindset. You don't need somebody hijacked on the sideline cheerleading your catastrophic, horrible choice-making lifestyle. No, that's not what you need. You need a reality check. You need a mirror. Yeah. And not for vain or beauty or to look at your muscles. No, you need a mirror to look at your soul or lack thereof. You feel me? Check that out. What's your soul looking like? Made a few soul contracts out here? What you doing out in these streets for real, though? Man, don't get me to preaching now. Let's get back to this very disturbing little girl. I got more to unpack. Stay tuned, Oh, it's finna go down. I hate this TV. Sometimes it just click you out when you ain't done. Because I'm finna preach. My heart goes out to this little girl. It's such cringe. It really is. Let me go back out the room with that. Like, it's such cringe. Really cringe. Okay, we was right above. Yeah, we was right here. Yeah.
Do you do it a lot?
Uh,
How much do you do?
Masturbation.
every single day, and that's future. I did it every single day until it got bad enough stuff, and I had to get to the doctor, and I did not want it.
Terrible. What do you mean by real bad?
Well, little walls, and all kinds of bruises on it, stuff on the hand.
And it blows.
Mm-hmm.
She started to masturbate at inappropriate times. I remember one time specifically when we were at the hospital waiting for Tim to come out. He was there visiting, and Beth and John were in the back seat, and I turned around, and she had her legs spread and was masturbating in a public parking lot. And I had tried to explain to her numerous times before that that's private area. You don't do it in public places. And I got over that with her, and it never seemed to faze her. And
Julie, how often does your daughter masturbate?
daily. constantly.
Do you have animals, Beth?
For all of us.
She was masturbating daily, constantly. These are children that are raised in households. Let's say you have abusive parents. Let's say that the father beats on the mom, and they're sexually deviant, which you got to research that. Oh my God. Um, and the mom's not emotionally available for the kids. Listen, depending on those kids' zodiac and how, wherever they are mental health wise, certain kids are highly impressionable. Well, every child really is impressionable, but you got certain kids that are through like DNA, through genetics, sometimes exposure to certain traumas, it changes the child. And now, where they wouldn't have been a certain way, now they are because of that exposure that could have been avoided. You got to research this stuff. I'm telling you, you should raise, before you raise a child, we need to be learning this. They are not teaching us everything we need to learn. You got to go out on your own and get your research on. But this is so true because my stuff alone, like I would reenact that, but I was more like I said, I would victimize myself. So it seemed like every little boy that was inappropriate would come finding me and want to either be grinding or this and that. And I had to either run, or a lot of times I had this one kid, his name was Terrence, off the hook. But it was like he would just be so like inappropriate. And then I think he was doing that with his sister. And the mom didn't even know. Like I think she was bisexual. She would go out at night after she put them to bed. You know how many people in my family do that. But go out after they put the kids to bed and then and go out. Rather it be clubbing, hanging out, and then come back 6 o'clock the next morning, taking them to school, or come back 3 in the morning. You don't leave a kid unattended like that. Just because you can do it don't mean it should be done. I mean, I can walk outside and slap somebody in the face. That don't mean I should do it. Like, I'm going to need some sense to kick in, or something's got to give, you know? Because I was very impressionable, and I wound up being a victim in ways that I didn't even know I was actually a victim. I'm thinking this is supposed to happen because it started right around my daggone father. Come on now.
Can you tell me their names?
She naming her animals she got.
And then he says, a day ago, that there was a stray cat who did not have a home, so Daddy was taking care of it and took it to the vet when he had starts to go.
And what do you do to the animals, Beth? Do you stick them a little bit or a lot? What are you trying to do to the animals, Beth?
This little girl sticks her animals. Her adoptive parents have a lot of animals. She sticks them with pins, trying to kill them because she was hurt so young. All she knows is pain and how to inflict it. That was me in a lot of ways when it came to my father. A lot of times it seemed like, I don't know if y'all know the TV show Married with Children. That was almost like his national anthem. It was almost like I mean, I like Al Bundy by default just because I'm mildly sociopathic myself. And them jokes be on point, but he took it to a sinister low, where he would, I don't know if you've seen Married with Children, but he would bust on his kids, he bust on his wife. And my father would talk like that to us and my mother in the house. My mother wasn't having it, but that didn't stop him. It really didn't. She went through a lot of just verbal abuse alone, and then he would antagonize her, and then looking at me and my siblings because we're the crowd. And you don't realize this is my mom, bro. I mean, you my dad, but in this situation, you victimizing her, and you think this making me closer to you? Listen, I'm gonna be a bean with y'all. Oh, this is not gonna be good. Oh well, I used to do things to his food. And I know I shouldn't be laughing. Again, I cope with humor. I did. This is bad. The worst thing I would have to say, because I'm a conscious adult and I'm walking in God energy and I forgive myself and everything else. Yeah, I would drop his chicken like I had to cook him a barbecue, fried chicken breast. I drop that joint right between the sink and the stove. The seasoning real nice. You know, it'd be nasty between those like areas. It'd be extra. Yeah, I called it pepper. Like I would do things to sabotage his. Like like when I tell you, it's a thing. And how many kids grow up in a household where they like grow hate for the abuser? That was me, suffering in silence. But we couldn't get him out the house. He was stuck on the lease. So every day was a hell, but in some form or fashion, every day felt like hell for me because he came in my jugular all often, whether my siblings knew it or not. And a lot of the times he would steal from me. I had to re-steal things back. When his mother passed away, rest in peace, Laura Harris, my Aunt Renee gave me some memorabilia of hers. He punched me in my mouth, stole it, the dress she gave me, the pictures she gave me. Stole it from me, beat me up, and I had to re-steal it back. And then he would basically terrorize me if I touched it again. One time he said he gonna kill me. I ain't never tell my mom that. Y'all the first ones hearing it. Yeah. And you think he remember any of this stuff? I would call it selective memory. But unfortunately, I know he's a substance abuse user and a alcoholic. A lot of it he don't remember. How am I get close to this man, y'all? Do you know he be at family functions trying to talk to me? I don't even know how to look at this man. Of course, I had to find a way to forgive him to free myself. But I can't have no relationship with him. I tried it. My therapist told me he has to acknowledge what he's done to me. And do you think he gonna do that? Hell no. I'm a hoe, like my mom. His words. So I had to chuck that. And then I watched him be closer to my other siblings. Like, bye, Felicia, on that. You deserve it. Let's get back to this dreadfully horrible story.
What do they do when you stick them with the pins?
Granny cried.
She got baby birds down there with the nest, and we thought maybe she was just curious. And we explained that she could hurt them, put them back, and went through a whole sitting down and talking to her about the problem of it. And the next day we went to check the baby birds when they were on the ground dead with their necks broken.
Let's talk about what happened once when you were smaller, when you found some baby birds in a tree. What did you do then?
I took them out.
Mm-hmm. And what did Mom say to you?
That the mother will not come back. It's too many pictures of babies.
Mm-hmm. Are the baby birds kind of small? Can you describe them for me?
Well, they don't have their eyes open, but they can hear me and then look up.
Are they kind of helpless? Little baby birds? Can they fly? Can they run away?
I want to also point out, he's trying to pull empathy out of her. Do you see her facially struggling? It's a lot of kids. It's a few in my family that don't even realize they're emotionally unavailable, completely flat. It's like trying to get water from a rock. She killed some baby birds that her foster parents was like, oh, look, it's a nest on our bush. It's baby birds looking for the mom. And they told her, they gave her a ladder so her and her brother could see them. They said, don't touch them, because if you touch them, the mommy bird won't come back to feed them. So they thought she understood. Cut two, she came back, not only touched them, but she squished them and broke their necks, and they found them the next day dead on the ground. She's harming things, and she has no empathy. She's just completely emotionally shattered, full of pain that her father gave her. Even though these beautiful people that seem to be very emotionally available, very validating. They can't break through that exterior. This is what I'm saying. Some kids need help. A lot of kids are growing up with parents that just completely left the building. Completely. And I would love to call them out. Ooh, would I ever. I have been around some, I'll say it, terrible parents. And I've watched the outcomes of their children who I'm related to. It's the saddest, let me watch my mouth. It's the saddest thing to watch. To watch an adult that wants their parents so bad, even though they're grown, raising children of their own. And that parent just exploiting that weakness for their own personal gain, it sickens me. It really does. But I'm in it for the long haul. I make sure that I'm uncomfortable in the ways that are necessary for this work to continue that I'm doing. Even after I'm dead and gone, these videos will still be out here. My kids will be able to watch them, and everybody in my family going to know, because Anish going to set the record straight. Little Kiki grown now, okay? No kids here. What you didn't know then, oh baby, you finna learn now. And I would love to call a future family meeting so we can set the record straight respectfully. This is not about disrespect. With the family predators and the family ancestors are going running around doing damage and no one's calling it out. Matter of fact, the family narcissists are protected by the pushovers. The ones that say, I don't want to deal with that. They just, no, that's what I call cowardness. No, it's our responsibility to deal with it because you're ruining kids for the future. I'm going to need y'all to wake up. It's not about, it's bigger than your damn self. It's about the future. And look at what it's become. Look at the brokenness in all these families, including ours. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And that's absolutely happening in my family. And I'm going to call it out. You ain't got to like me. Oh, but you won't respect this one. Let's get back into this disturbing story where her hurting babies and killing baby birds. And I feel my heart goes out to her. And some aspects of her is me. And I see her in some of my other family members too.
Yes.
Okay. Are they easy to catch or hard to catch?
Hard.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to remember. With the baby birds, what did you do?
Took them out of the tree.
And what did you do with them?
Put them out to us. Also, when at the end, I picked it up and I thought it was bad, and I came to say, Mommy, is this for Dad? And she said, she called Daddy and said, Tim? And Daddy came and, I think I remember the they said yes.
Mm-hmm. And so the little baby
So
birds die.
disturbing.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I just remember, I think I remember the line and Daddy said, the last bird we got was dead.
Mm-hmm. You know what Mom said to me? She said that all of them were dead. Did you squeeze them? Did baby Beth squeeze them? You're doing a good job, honey. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
I squeezed them.
He had to let her know, he already know that she killed the baby birds. Her mommy told him. And now she's explaining, yeah, I squeezed them. This is the beginning. This is the first interview with her. I'm so glad that they made this video because they make videos and post them of all kind of garbage. Put something on that really counts. This to make you uncomfortable in the way that you need to be uncomfortable. Because this type of stuff go on in families. And like I said, it gets hushed up. Either no one knows how to deal with it, no one wants to deal with it. If it triggers them because they got trauma like that they ain't deal with it. Quit running. Take your Adidas off and deal with it. We gotta teach our kids. And don't teach them fluff. Give them something they're gonna actually need. Child predators is a thing. I could give you one. Certain young men and young ladies that have certain cognitive injury. And by that, I mean certain disorders where their cognitive abilities are not, I guess you could say, function in the way that they could. Those type of people tend to gravitate to younger people. I was one of them. Most of my friends were younger than me. Or it was somebody that was grown perceiving me as an adult because I always was bigger than kids my age. So a lot of times I was approached by men when I was elementary school. And I would, I got so many cringe stories. The awareness is here, baby. But we need to be teaching this stuff. The family trees need to start actually having meetings about cringy topics and stop gossiping behind family members' back. What growth is going to come from that? You just welcoming the next generation into BS, and no one knows how to unpack it. Everybody just puts a game face on, want to show up at the cookout, fake. And then I'm extra authentic, seeing the fakeness, and you want me to perform too? My nigga. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will not fake it. I can't fake it. I understand, EB. I listen, brother. You one of my number one supporters. I send you much love, EB. Coming from the Gambia, I appreciate you being here. No love lost. Sending prayers your way, brother. You know what I'm saying? But this has to be something. This got to be the game changer, y'all. Just because you don't know how to doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Peep that. Let's get back to it. Because this is the interview where she's not available. You see, she's flat. She's telling disturbing stories. She got no emotion. Look, she ain't even crying. Nothing. By the end of this video, which I think is like 28 minutes long, she goes through really severe, they take her to a treatment center. And you will be surprised how she turns out at the end. It's mind-blowing. This is why no change can happen. Despite what everybody that's moist think, that's want to run from the hard stuff and be available for the easy stuff. Well, that's a cowardly way to look at it. What's that? We got a bunch of cowardly lions in my family. What'd you do that for? I wasn't gonna hurt him. Like, I'm gonna need you to get some type of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna need y'all to warrior up. I know some warriors. Warriors are born. Soldiers are made. You know what I'm saying? You take from that what you take from that. Let's get back to it.
And what happened?
But this kind of aggression in our animals, and even Brother Jonathan was beginning to grow to such an excess that our life was miserable at home. We had John would cry in the mornings and say his stomach hurt. For the longest time, we thought maybe this child has had some problem with his intestinal area, or maybe he has allergies, and so we tried to get all that checked out. Come to find out, Beth was coming out of her room and hitting him in the stomach. And so, as a last resort, just to protect him, we had to tie our door shut. So I guess for about the last 2 or 4 months now, we've had to tie her in at night. So barricade.
The repercussions of Beth's tragic childhood led to uncontrollable rage. Despite the love and nurturing of her adoptive parents, she took this rage out on herself, on her brother, and on them. Her acts of violence became more and more cruel and frightening.
Well, I noticed several, like hearing noise in the kitchen missing. And my first thought was death. And I felt a little guilty about it at first. I thought, no. But I really didn't even mention it to her. It had been gone several weeks. She was sitting at the table drawing and mentioned to me, what do those knives look like that are gone, Mom? And I said, what knives, Beth? And she said, weren't they kind of silver and about this big? And I knew then, and then this little smile was not a sweet smile, but a malicious type of smile. And I need while she's got these.
The little girl, Beth, is stealing the knives out the kitchen and storing them in her bedroom because she's plotting to kill her family while they're sleeping. This is so troubling. It reminds me of myself. Now, I wasn't doing that. Not quite that. But I had to learn how to live with a perpetrator. When I tell you my father is he's the dark triad on 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? Machiavellianism. Listen, all of it. All of it he practices daily. So I would sit and be in limerence and just kind of lusting on the idea of payback for him. And he was in the house. So I had learned how to live with a perpetrator, which gave me an injury. So now, as a woman, I can get into a toxic relationship with a man. Let's say he's got strengths, but he's a perpetrator. He's untrustworthy. He doesn't respect me. Whatever the case, I'm not going to see that as a threat. You know why? Because I had to learn to live with a father that was a perpetrator, and that's my father. How many kids have that problem? Or let's say my mom wasn't there for me. Let's say, I don't know, she was a narcissist with him in the same way. And both my parents was on one and not available. Do you understand as kids that have that dynamic? Neither parent is available for them. So you know what kids tend to do? Adapt. And then they create ways to exist. This is where personality disorders can start being factored in or start happening. This is where mindset shifts from light to dark. This is where you have to rob Peter to pay Paul. This is where the kid has to learn the dark triad traits to get the bare necessities, acceptance, arousal, like intimacy. We're not talking, it ain't even gotta be sexual intimacy. If you grow up in a house where don't nobody give hugs out, we don't do all that mushy stuff. Now you're understimulated. You finna look for love in all the wrong places. And you think them parents gonna call their behavior out? And don't you call it out. Oh, you gonna bring shame to the family? Cast you out. Stop it. Get over yourselves. Wrong is wrong. I'm not about to sit here and make wrong be right because you want to stay safe, comfortable. Have all your demons next to you, y'all partying it up. If you don't miss me with that, people be on one. And guess what? We allow it. We allow it. We do. Here's an inappropriate relationship that I had as a teenager. I believe I was 17. I have a sister. Shout out to Tara if you out there. Sister named Tara. We have the same father, different mothers. She has a cousin. I learned that I believe he passed away and I didn't know about it. Cousin named Dwayne. Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. I'm finna go there. So whoever know me and know this, yeah, it's going down like feet. Cousin Dwayne, he wind up visiting her at the house. And I was taking loan on a grocery store run. My mom, we lived on 22nd and Diamond at that time. I'm the oldest, so I had to go to the supermarket with the list, get what my mom, wrote down, bring it back. Pretty long walk. So some guy had pulled over in the car. Thought I would look cute. Now let me keep it a beam with y'all. I entertained that because I didn't get that from my father. I didn't feel worthy of love. I was bust on most of the time. I just always had a natural upbeat, type of energy. So even if I look depressed to other people, I don't think that's what they perceived. Oh, but it was definitely depression for me. So anyone that was showing me any type of attention or time of day, I would entertain it. And guess what? That made the grocery trip last longer than maybe the 40 minutes it would take there and back. Now I'm getting back well over an hour. And my father was at the house at this point, and my sister's cousin had just came over, for a visit, hang out with her that weekend. Yeah, I believe he was in foster care at that time, so he was out on the weekend visiting and whatever. Now, let me say this up front. I was not necessarily attracted to him. I thought he was cool. I loved his energy, but like attraction, no. And I'm saying that because it wound up leading to a sexual relationship. I came in late, and whenever it was something that I did wrong, my father, it was his honor and privilege to beat on me. So he would definitely do the discipline. So I came home late, was trying to figure out what lie to say about how it took long. I'm a horrible liar. Horrible. My strength has always been honesty. I told him something. I started saying, he punched me straight in my teeth. I'm talking about, what the F took you so long? I'm being my dad. I'm like, I was he went, boof, right, and just like that, right in front of Dwayne, her cousin. First of all, I learned in that moment, a few moments later, he ain't never see a girl punched like that, let alone by her father. I was so embarrassed because, my siblings was there. They are used to seeing me get hands on by my pop. But her cousin never seen that. So it was so embarrassing, y'all. Oh, my God. It's so many times my father has beat me or punched me, whether it was on SEPTA. Hold on.
Tell me about the notch.
Whether it was on SEPTA, didn't matter for him. I used to practice looking at the ground whenever I was out with him, so he wouldn't even think I was looking at a boy or a man, because he put hands on me in a millisecond. So back to the story. Punched me right in my teeth. Of course, I start bleeding. I got a lot of injuries on my gums and on my inner cheeks from my father's discipline of jaw hits. So he was stunned. After my father finished punching me and then gripped me up, headbutt me, I had enough shame, so I kind of ran to my room and just cried. At this point, I think I was 16, 17. Yeah, that was so embarrassing. I'm traveling a little bit, y'all. Hold on, give me a second. So I went to my room, stayed in that. I didn't even want to look at this guy. I didn't even want to look at Wayne. I was like, oh man, the embarrassment, which I should have been used to because it wasn't like that was the first time. So long story short, a knock was at my door. I didn't know who it was. I thought maybe I don't know. Now that I think about it, I should have thought it was him. Don't nobody knock on my door. We just walk in each other's rooms. Especially like my parents. You ain't got no damn privacy up in my house. Which in some ways that was a good thing. But it was Wayne at the door. He was like, yo, you all right? I was like, I actually got smart when I was like, I'm fine. Like, you can go here back in there. But I was like choking up because it was embarrassing. I couldn't even look at him. Like, yeah. He was like, yo, I ain't never seen no dad sock his daughter like that. I was like, this is getting worse by the second. And then he like moved forward. He was like, yo, you good? He touched my face. When I tell you, just his touch made me cry. Because not even my father touched me gentle like that. And guess what happened moving forward with that? It grew an intimate and sexual relationship with him because he showed care and concern. Where I was left hanging, my father would show up when it was time to beat me for sure, or manipulate me, or celebrate himself using me, So a lot of times, yeah, I was talked at, not talked to by my father. So that relationship, which was my half-sister's cousin on her mom's side, it still morally was wrong for us to be involved at all. I know that now the way I need to. But as someone that has been molested by a family member or family members, and, not able to talk about it, not able to, do any of that, just taking it all on the chin, just, it wasn't cringe. It felt really nice to feel concerned about by somebody. And then it was not the response I was used to after my father's I called it discipline back then. So when he reacted that way, it showed me a different reaction that I was not used to. So yeah, I wound up getting close with Wayne, maybe a little too close. We definitely had intercourse, and it became a thing. And I didn't know what was going on there with that. Like I said, nobody showed up for me, you know? And not to say that my siblings didn't have their own versions of trauma, which they did. Shout out to all of y'all. Much love. And I hope y'all don't take these videos the wrong way. But I'd be damned if I'm going to be quiet anymore. It's a wrap on that. I got kids now that have been traumatized too. And they all up on this social media. And I really wasn't big on it. But guess who got big on it when I found out it was influencing my kids? This one right here. Because if they're going to be influenced, oh, I'm going to have some videos influencing them too. Yeah, I said it. So I'm saying this to let you realize that inappropriate relationships can blossom in childhood when you got parents that don't know what they're doing. They want to run their mouth and judge the child and not even look at their own backyard. And it's trifling as ever. Let's get back to the story.
Where did you go?
From the floor.
And where else? Do you remember? Tell me about it.
I got it from the dishwasher.
What kind of knives?
Got the knives from the dishwasher.
And what do you want to do with those knives?
John and Mommy want food and Daddy.
And when Mommy asks you about where the knives are, what do you say?
I don't know what they are.
What did you think she wanted to do with the knives?
My first thought was Jonathan.
And the reason we thought that was that she had, by this time, she had tried to kill John on several occasions and openly admitted that.
In the basement, she was hitting his head against the cement floor. I heard his screams and ran down and had to literally pull her hands off, and she looked wild-eyed.
Did you get real mad at him? Did you hit his head real hard? Tell me about it. How many times did you do it? A lot. What was the floor like? And what happened to your brother? Tell me about it.
His head hurts so bad. His chin, he had to have stitches in it.
Could you stop? Use your words, Beth. Okay. What was your brother doing when you were doing this?
Playing with the toys.
Okay. Was he asking you to stop when you were doing it? What was he saying?
He was saying, yes, stop.
And what did you do?
I didn't stop. I just kept on helping him.
What were you thinking when you were doing that?
Thinking of killing him.
How did you stop? What made you stop?
When I heard his finger walking across the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stopped because I thought Mommy and Daddy would come.
Okay. Did Mommy come?
Mm.
What did she do?
She hit me to no one.
Okay. And what if Mom didn't stop you? What would you have done?
Keep on doing it.
And what about
After evaluating the extent of Beth's psychological problems, Dr. McGinn felt that for the well-being of the family, Beth needed to be temporarily separated from them. In April of 1989, her parents brought her to a special home.
April of 1989. She was removed from her foster parents' care and brought to this treatment facility. Do you know how many kids in my family are disturbed mentally, sexually, and never been found out, and created a lifestyle off of that type of foundation and mindset, it's kind of scary and it's sad. And I was one of them until I learned better. And my husband and exposing me to his family, it taught me a little bit about, I guess you could say, healthier ways that a family operates in. And it was very eye-opening, and I always thank him for that. But this is bigger than my shame. It really is. So I really hope that this message gets out.
The expert at raising children with early attachment disorders, especially children who are dangerous to themselves and others.
I have children that have killed numerous times. Cold-blooded family members, neighbor children kill them. And they can do it. Makes my blood run cold. You think they're 9 years old. People don't think a 9-year-old is capable of cold-blooded murder, but they are. That attachment break does severe damage to the heart, the ability to care and the ability to love. They don't care and they don't love, they're capable of anything. We're very strict about everything. Everything is completely monitored. We take complete control because the child who's unattached does not trust. And because they don't trust, they don't allow anybody to be boss of them. So we take complete control. They are not boss of anything. They have to ask to get a drink of water. They have to ask to go to the bathroom. They have to ask to leave our sight. Part of that is because we cannot trust them because of the damage that they've done before.
Do you like to say grace?
Heavenly Father, thank you for this good day. And everybody does it. They believe that they're evil. They believe they're from the devil. They believe that they are not a person of value. And we have to change that. We have to build that from a child who's nothing, who's a bad kid in their own mind, to a child who's valuable and loving, and they see themselves as that.
You see that? What they're doing for her? They're treating her in a way where she feels seen. And they had to take control. You know, she has to learn to ask permission for everything, to go to the bathroom, to get a drink of water, all of that. In a lot of ways, it breaks my heart because there's a lot of parents that are absent. And then they want to point the finger at their child as they grow up broken and create a broken family and trauma bonds. Shame on you. What are you doing to contribute? Last time I checked, a lot of the parents is a part of the problem. And then it's sad because it's certain people that, going back in time, like I said, it just gets worse. There's a lot of, Willie Lynch, that whole thing, and even before him, like the research that I have dug up, oh my God, I'm going to be taking some trips to Egypt. My lives is going to be revealing, to say the least. But it's so much brokenness, and kids learn it. It's learned behavior too. You watch your mom or your dad being unavailable, not being there for you. You know what I'm saying? What do you expect a child to do? They're not receiving compassion. They're not feeling seen. They have a parent that's worried more about dating and shaking their head, or they got a parent more worried about chasing some bras and drinking alcohol to forget the child. I didn't want to have kids anyway. This is a lot that has went on in my family. Not every single one of them, no. But we know who I'm talking about. Any of my family members that's watching, we darn sure know who I'm talking about. And it's not fair to the kids because they grew up and now guess what? We got kids. And what are you expecting to happen? Things to get better? No, nothing's got called out. How can it be improvements? Are we kidding ourselves? Or are we just giving ourselves more generational gossip to build up so we can talk about them? No, it's deeper than that. That's a horrible mindset. That's a horrible way of thinking about it. How do you point fingers, but then you're not doing nothing to actively change? And I don't mean build codependencies. I don't mean create more trauma bonds. I don't mean brush the boo-boos under the rug because you might be a part of it. Get over yourself. Everything ain't about y'all. Let's get the facts straight. It's about everybody. We all affect each other. You know what I'm saying? It's a domino effect. And this has to stop today. I got certain things going on with my kids that I had to watch. And a lot of it breaks my heart because they were exposed through social media. There were certain ways that I didn't know to protect them because I was ignorant. And then by the time I learned it, it was too late. My babies was exposed. And them suburban kids had a field day with my kids. Field day. I went from being in control of certain things, like the radio, what they listen to, etc., to getting moving up the suburbs. And these kids, oh my God, I swear for God, they off the hook, y'all. Listen, sometimes when you from the projects, that's gold. I swear, it's gold compared to these privileged suburban kids who know their parents is at work all day long. They have control of alcohol. They got control of social media. We talking about unguided social media. They watching pornography. They pulling your kid in onto the pornography. You got people that, kids in school that'll make friends with your kids, give them a place to come bring girls so they can have inappropriate sexual behavior going on. Then you got your kid going home lying about being in an after-school program. You not the wiser. Cheeks is being given out left and right, raw. STDs being passed like blunts. Listen, Linda, listen. No, this is out of pocket. Oh my God, the exposure is amazing. Just to see all these lawsuits on the social media, which I definitely jumped on. So I see that Roblox one, because it was some creep that creeped in there and was trying to talk to one of my kids, was a whole grown up. While my child was in middle school, yeah, you got me fried. Like, they out here. And until we address the predators in the family, we can't really say, we can't see predators outside of it. How you going to see one but not the other? How that work? And go. Break it down to me. I'm listening. Stop. You can't select what you want to notice. That's not how this works. You're either aware or you're not. There ain't no in between. You can't okay incest and then be mortified by rape. What is happening here? You cannot make that make sense to me. One ain't worse than the other. They both is bad. Mindset, people. It's almost over.
You don't have to have
Okay.
do it your way.
Care for the
You're
animals.
a good worker. And then it just builds that self-esteem little by little so that they change the way that they see themselves.
See ourselves better now.
Several months into treatment in this controlled environment, Betty made progress, and her therapist decided to loosen some of the controls. Beth continued to show signs of improvement. She began to develop a sense of right and wrong. She seemed to respond to affection as more often. She went to public school, made friends at the local church, and even sang in the choir.
Going to the Sunday school to the annex. Get stickers. And it's a lot.
Beautiful. You see this?
Yeah, that's a beard. Steve's beard. She's nose, that's the stuff. Yeah, Steve's beard is coming
She's
forward.
thriving now at this controlled treatment facility.
Well, that's one of the, that's Elisha, that's the prophet to Elijah's place. He was left. There's
She's
Elijah.
smiling and all the stuff she wasn't doing on the earlier interview.
The Lord is my shepherd. Where's that? You just got that yesterday.
In the beginning, we couldn't trust her with anything. She was locked up at night. We had alarms on the door at night. She was sneaking around doing things with the other children. We don't worry about that anymore. There's no alarm on her door at night now. She sleeps in the same room with my own daughter, and I trust her that much. She brushes the dogs, and I trust her that much. because she has earned that trust. She's learned it. She has a heart and she has a love inside, and she feels bad when she does something now. In the past, because she didn't have a conscience, she didn't feel anything when she did something bad. There was just no feeling there. And now she does feel bad. It shows in her face. So I believe that that can make it. She's got a really bright mind. She's got a good heart now, which has done a lot of healing. She's got a real set of parents that are powerful, they're knowledgeable, they're motivated. She's done a lot of good work with you in therapy with Canal and with myself. She wants to heal, and that's the number one key. And she wants to heal because she has a family that really cares about her, and she wants to be with them.
You know where that anger came from?
That's what my
This is the second time they're interviewing her now that they worked with her for several months in a controlled area. They worked with her. She's showing empathy. She feels good about herself. They worked on her self stuff, self-esteem, self-control, ... You know where I'm going. Those things are important when you're parents and children. Children are constantly guided by parents that are not aware of what they're doing. You teach your child, go out and get A's, and then you make it about you being proud of them. That's cool and all, but the bigger picture is to teach them to be proud of themselves. That's where we fall short, my opinion. The child has to learn that there's somebody, even if you don't give them praise every time. And that's where parents be sleeping on the job. So they gave her all of that self stuff back. And now they're about to ask her some of them same things that you heard earlier where she was not responsive, no tears, no emotion, nothing. Now she got some, y'all. This part, it made me go to tears.
hurt me. I had it all inside, and I remember it. And I started doing it.
And what did that do? What was inside you?
It made me want to hurt people really bad.
And who did you hurt?
My brother, my mom and dad, and the animals. The animals. Who did hurt them all? My brother. Me.
Why don't you tell me what?
It hurt me so much.
How did you forgive those?
Because when I hurt other people, I'm hurting my good self. I feel it.
It's kind of tough to talk about, isn't
Beth gave her last interview for this film in December of 1989. Although she had made progress, she would still need extensive therapy. Not all abused children are as deeply scarred as Beth, but all abused children suffer a profound hurt for the rest of their lives. The road to recovery is long and hard for the abused child. There are more than 1 million new victims of child abuse in America every year.
And that concludes the video. Do you see that? How she got emotional? That's what's been missing the whole time in her earlier years. This is what my father did to me. He caused me to have sociopathic behaviors and tendencies because he was not available for me emotionally. A lot of times his way of intimacy would hurt. Rather it was he was just playing or headbutting me, or he'll give me a hug and squeeze me way too hard where I feel like I can't breathe. And then I didn't want. And then on random growing up, if I walk past him, he smacked me on my bum like I'm some stripper. I'm talking about one where you can hear the slap. And that's why I struggled with touch. In my own relationship with my own husband, sometimes I put him through a lot of, I guess you could say, where I would push him away because I didn't understand good touch. I didn't have it. So if he wanted to touch me and I didn't know, I gave a startle response. And that was normalized. So you got to understand, it's deeper than what we want to acknowledge or talk about. When children are neglected, it affects their psyche. Trauma changes your brain permanently. So stop expecting kids that were neglected or kids that was raised by narcissists or dark empaths that were self-serving. Don't expect them to be showing up and thriving in life. And stop gossiping about them in the families. Shut your mouth. If you're not one of the people that's doing what I'm doing, raising awareness, wanting to have these difficult conversations with emotionally mature people, there aren't many emotionally mature people in my family, unfortunately. My opinion and my experience. Hopefully that's changed. I mean, we all have kind of separated. I know I had a lot of ill feelings after my wedding, because back then I still had the same injuries. When it came to self-confidence, self-esteem, it was to the ground. So things happened during my wedding time and like leading up to my wedding that was completely traumatizing for me and inappropriate. And it was sides taken and it wasn't my side. And that's how I feel. And it was certain things that I did not call out because, like I said, dear old dad groomed me to people please. So even on a time like my wedding, my family catastrophically failed me in ways that some would say is unforgivable. But of course, forgiveness is for the person. So I forgave, but I'll never forget. Because I would have never showed up and never have I showed up at any family function self-serving like some of my other family members. And don't worry, I could hear your cheeks tightening from here. I ain't going to say your name. Lucky for you, I'm not about drama. I'm about solution. You understand? I'm about unity, awareness. Knowledge is not power unless you apply it. That's what I stand for. So I ain't gonna smear your name live, even though some parts of me that's petty want to do it. But you know who you are, huh? You know who you are. How you showed up and gave all these shit shows when it comes to my functions. You know who you are. Where you'll say you was trying to do this, but then this blew up. Come on now. Self-serving. It was all kind of stuff going on around that time. So I'm going to move on. But don't kill yourself. I'm finna talk about that at a later time. Yeah. Yeah, I told you. If you follow me, we do work over here. So if you're looking to be coddled like a grown-up baby and hit on the bum, you might want to swipe past me. I keep it a bean over here, starting with myself. So if I'm going to air myself out, what you think I'm going to do with you? Keep your secrets? I don't keep secrets, so don't even tell me none unless you're willing to work on them. I'll be an active listener for anyone that wants to better themselves. But if you just trying to unpack over here, no thanks. Keep it pushing like a cart. I don't do those. You won't be dropping your baggage on me or trying to get me to validate your lifestyle that you know damn well is off the hook. Don't come over here for that. And I got a lot of family members that live a hot mess. We talking about promiscuity and they're raising children. Yeah, I said it. But then want to talk about me, want to talk about good old Kiki. Why you on one to the 10th power when it comes to drug use, going out almost every weekend, getting babysitters, barely there for your child, got kids running to my mom trying to be validated because some people was unavailable. And we talking about all kind of different kids. Kids from the community, kids in my family, but no one pays my mom the respect she's due because she ain't perfect. She ain't do it perfectly. She got stuff wrong with her. Then nobody say she don't. But she was there for you. Where's your respect? Learn who showed up for you and pay respect where respect is due. Because I'm finna call you out respectfully. I don't do arguments. So if you want to raise your voice, less is more for me. I don't argue. It's beneath me. I'm stoic. Learn a two about it. Learn a thing or two about it. You know what I'm saying? We got to start showing up and holding people accountable if things are going to change. You have to train your mindset. You have to unpack your trauma. Because whatever your trauma is, that's your future. That's how it works. That is how it works. Research it. I cannot make this up. Research it. And then you see this whole thing with this story with Beth? Beth lives in me and a few of my other family members. We have to start learning to do better. We cannot do better if people running around here in denial, blaming, spreading rumors, smear campaigns because they want someone on their side because they were invalidated because they wanted to do certain things that was probably too grown and they was told no. So then they got this chip on their shoulder. So they only hang around people that tell them yes. Look, get over yourself. You're doing a whole lot out in these streets. And the kids are suffering. I'm here for the kids. And I also want to later on have a video about, I guess you can say, forgiveness. Because it was certain amounts of abuse I've seen and I didn't say nothing. And it haunts me. Every once in a while, it haunts me. Because like I said, I was groomed to be a certain way. I just didn't know any better at the time. But now that I know better, I'm going to do better. And I'm going to start with myself. You know, as much as I would like to put names out there, I'm not going to do that. Because it's all about showing you how it's done. So I'll start with myself and show you how it's done when you're accountable for what you've seen and didn't say nothing about, no matter what the circumstances are. And to truly, from the heart and the depths of your soul, apologize. And you don't have to accept my apology. It was from me anyway. That person can still go on and hate me because apologies don't work. That it works. It's about yourself. And that's what I want to do. Get that off of me. Because I've been seeing some severe abuse. We talking about toddlers getting jaw hits, getting punched in the chest. We talking about moms beating their sons for reasons that you would not believe. Demasculating boys. I can't take that as one of my triggers. If you are a woman that talks down on your son, don't come around me. And if you do, this mouth is a weapon, respectfully. Don't think you're going to demasculate your son and think you're going to come to me crying about it and this the reason you did it and think I'm going to validate that. Absolutely not. This is why women don't know how to talk to a man now. We got too many women in my family that got ball sacks. I'm going to need y'all to realize the reason you don't have a man to stay around is because you too much, man. Chill on that a little bit, sis. Why don't you go research what femininity is all about and find your soul? You might have grew up in some trauma that wasn't your fault, but that got flipped somewhere along the way, and then you start neglecting the self. So now you showing up with boxers and a tie and wondering why no nigga want to be with you. Chill. He looking for a woman, not Chloe from Set It Off. I'm going to need you to chill. Chill. You scaring men away. And then so much is going on with the whole Willie Lynch narrative, buck breaking. Through the industry, you see the industry falling apart. All the secrets coming out. Clive Davis is a hot mess. You got people got to do soul contracts so they can get their family out of poverty as an option. But then you got other kids, like in my community, like kids trying to get rich, like get rich schemes. Oh, I'm going to be a rapper. No, you ain't. That's enough. We got to really have some conversations about what the Black community and communities, period, have turned into. If there's going to be any positive change. No one can change pretending ain't no problem. I can't sit idly by and pretend anymore because I am a result of ineffectiveness when it comes to problem solving. And I'm going to let it end with me. Over my dead body will it be hushed any longer. So if you don't want your truth to come to light, you shouldn't want to come around me. Not that I'm going to call you out. It's just I walk in a certain energy. So innately, I just make liars and people that are malicious uncomfortable sometimes. I had to learn that about myself. That sounds personal. That ain't my problem, bruh or sis. But it speaks volumes for where you are. You might need to look in the mirror. And I mean deeper than your makeup brush, deeper than your beard. Actually check your soul out. Make sure it's still there. You know what I mean? We have to do better. And if we don't hold ourselves accountable, who will? We got to get tired of being remote controls of the system. The system works against us, not with us, so don't kid yourself. Do your research. Read. It's really terrible. A lot of people don't read no more. You got to read. You got to feed your mind. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. That is a fact. Research facts. Challenge everything that's coming out of my mouth. I don't need to be your one-stop shop. Say, oh, she said that. Let me see. See if it's true or not. Research it. Or like some of my toxic family members, no, I ain't going to research it because I don't want to find out you know what you're talking about. I'd rather just challenge you because I want the floor. Have the floor. Have it. Just don't expect me to be one of your followers, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? I move in a certain energy. I move in a certain energy. And I would advise anyone that comes from broken families or traumas that are just rooted in the family tree, we need to call family meeting, matriarch style. Don't call the family together only for a barbecue, y'all. It's time to have difficult conversations. And it's time to show up mature, able to listen and then talk. This is not about out talking other people. This is not about gossiping someone else's story. Tell your own story and start with yourself. Tell your story to yourself and don't make it cute. Don't dial it up and try to make it. No, say it. If it's ugly, it's ugly. Don't try to put makeup on ugly. Let it be ugly and then let your heart break. Quit running from the part that is the most important when it comes to healing. Feel the pain. Let your heart break. Until you hit rock bottom, there is no climb. You got to be low. You have to unpack to the points of veins out, see God, soul. Listen, you got to tap all the way in, or else you will be stuck in a self-fulfilling prophecy of doom. And so will your children by default, because they got your counsel and you're not emotionally healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually. You're nothing. How can you expect outcomes that are fantastic and healthy and you're sinister and unhealthy? It ends with me. So I'll be back. My lives is going to cringe the souls of plenty. I'm going to start going on to Instagram as well, TikTok also, because I got hella topics to bring up and they are cheek tightening. I know this, but I'm here for all that. So I hope you've learned a lot from this experience. And I'm going to always be around because I'm loud, but in a quiet way. Okay? You know what I'm saying? And move with that energy, y'all. You don't have to be verbally loud to be heard. I've always been loud. I've been the loudest person in so many rooms, and I ain't say a thing. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I mean. So this has been M, the creative one, reborn in the flesh. And I'll be back. We must challenge the family trees. Over and out, you guys.